Hey guys, it's Shelby. This is my ex-boyfriend story. I posted on my Facebook fan page some videos that I was thinking of making, and this one was on one of them, and I got a few requests for it, so I decided to do one. And I just want to start off by saying that I know I've said a lot of things about my ex, and all of them are true. He is a major asshole, and I'll explain everything in this video. Well, not everything, but pretty much everything. I'm going to start off by how I met him. And I met him about a year ago. I think it was January I met him. Yeah, I think it was January that I met him. January, December. It was January. Yeah. And I broke up with my other ex-boyfriend, my other boyfriend, and he broke up with me. So I texted Sarah and I told her about it, and she said I'm sorry that she told me that I'm sorry that she couldn't talk, but she had to write an exam, so I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I went back to bed, and I got woken up by a text message from her, and she said she had another guy for me to meet, and I asked him, okay, who is he, and she was like, his name's Adam, he used to be in my cadets, but he got kicked. I don't know if he got kicked out or if he quit, but it wouldn't surprise me if he got kicked out. But I told him okay, so I guess she gave the phone to him when they were texting. When they were hanging out, and he started texting me and asking me what I liked and what my favorite things were, what I liked in a guy, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So he said he wanted to meet me. So I said okay, but we didn't ever actually set up a date. And then I was texting Sarah later that night, and she asked me if I would want to come over to her house. And I said sure, I would. And when I got there, I brought my other friend over. And we just was hanging out, and then he called her. And they gave me the phone, and I could not talk to him. I was tongue-tied. Well, not tongue-tied, but I didn't know what to say to him. And that's not really a good thing for me, because I never really get tongue-tied with guys I like. It's just sometimes I do, but usually I don't. But I tried to talk to him on the phone, and then I just gave the phone to Sarah again, and then I guess Sarah invited him over, and about 10-20 minutes later, he knocked on the door, and I guess I known him from public school, but I didn't recognize him, but apparently he recognized me. But I didn't recognize him at all. We talked for a little while, and then Sarah suggested playing Truth or Dare. So we went down to the basement, and before we started playing, we talked a little bit. And then we played Truth or Dare, and she dared him to kiss me, so he kissed me. And then later that night, we were sitting in her kitchen dining room, and Sarah's like, do you like him? To me, and I was like, yeah, I like him. And she asked the same thing to him, and he said the same thing. So I guess she was like, okay, you guys are automatically going out. So I'm like, okay. I didn't know what he wanted, pretty much, because he didn't actually ask me out. But before he left, he kissed me again and took a picture of me with his phone, which I don't know if he still has in his phone. The last time he did, but I don't know if he deleted it or not. I hope he did, because it's kind of weird if he still has it. Anyway, so after that, I slept over at Sarah's house because we both had an exam the same day, and I slept over there and Adam called and asked me if I wanted to hang out, and I said sure. And we made a time. It was like 9 a.m. because I thought that's when my exam ended, but it didn't. And I was surprised he was still at Tim Hortons when I got there after my exam. So we walked back to Sarah's, and then through that whole walk back, he never tried to hold my hand or anything. So I'm like, okay, maybe we're just going to be friends. I don't know if he wants to date me or anything. And then when we got back in the house, everything was different. He was holding my hand, putting his arm around me, picked me up, all that shit. And then we went down to the basement to watch a movie, and he started I'm not going to get into detail of what he did, but he started doing crap with me, and I wasn't comfortable with it, but I was afraid to tell him to stop, because I thought I liked this kid, and I thought telling him to stop would make him not like me. So after that, he went home, and I told Sarah what he was doing, and it kind of surprised her that I did it, but anyway, after that, I didn't see him for, I think, about a week after, and then there was a whole bunch of bus days because it was snowy, so neither of us had to go to school because we're both on a bus. Well, I never really took the bus, but nobody goes, since my school's, pretty much everybody in my school lives out of town, there's a lot of buses, so nobody really goes to school on bus days. So it's pretty much dead there on bus days, so. But he came home from, I think, his dad's, and he texted me and asked if I wanted to hang out, and I said sure. So we met up, and we did the same crap we did at Sarah's house. And again, I still wasn't comfortable with it, and I met his mom that night too, and his mom was really nice. After we hung out for a few more times after that, and then one day, we were sitting at his house, not inside, but because he wasn't allowed to have girls inside of the house when his mom wasn't there. But I know it sounds really ridiculous. But we were sitting outside, and he told me he wanted to break up with me, and he didn't want to be with me anymore, but he still wanted to kiss me and do everything we were doing before. So, I really liked him. He was the first boy that I showed so much emotion over, other than my current boyfriend. I like my boyfriend more than him, but he was the first one I really cried over. Because he broke up with me, not because of why he broke up with me. It was just because he broke up with me. And then it even really pissed me off that he broke up with me, because he had a right to. Like, if he's not happy, then fine, whatever, break up with me. It was just how he said it, that even though he wanted to break up with me, he still wanted to kiss me, and our relationship was really confusing, and I'll get more into that. I'm starting to see now why he said that. So I went home, and then the next day, we went back, and he was like, okay, bring your friend Martha. That was the girl that he met with me, that he met the first time. That she was with me the night that we met. Sorry. And he was like, bring one of your friends, and we had a lot of problems that day. I think fate was kind of telling me, don't go, because we got stuck in my driveway because of the snow. We got stuck in the driveway. Then we went to go pick up Martha, and we got stuck in her driveway. So I think there was fate telling me to not go. But we were walking. I don't know where we met him, but we met him someplace, and we walked to Sarah's. And when we got to Sarah's, he was flat out flirting with her right in front of me, and didn't care that I was still upset about what he said last night. And I was almost in tears. I was gonna get up and just walk out. I was so close to. And I told Sarah, I'm like, are they floating? And she was like, yeah, they are. And I'm like, oh my god, this is ridiculous. And Sarah told him I was crying. They were like, why? And I'm like, she said, because you guys are floating. And that Adam and Martha were like, no, we're not, even though, like, he was hitting her in the head with a bottle. They were giggling together. It was just like, that's obviously floating. So, and then he was pushing her in snow piles, too. So, after that, I was still friends with him, and I still had a huge crush on him. And why that relationship was so confusing is because even though, like, he said he will break up, every time someone mentioned, like, he didn't want to tell Sarah that we broke up for some reason. Like, he was like, well, let's see how long it will take her to notice that we broke up. So it was like he didn't want to tell her. And then one of my friends, his cousin noticed that his cousin didn't really know we broke up. And she was like, oh, you guys are such a cute couple. And he did not deny it at all. And then when he was over, he would cuddle up to me and act all coupley with me and still kiss me and still hug me. And then when I would talk about boys that I liked, he would get pissed off. Like, he was jealous. So I'm like, I always thought, it's like, we're not together. Why? I don't get pissed off when you talk about other girls this way, so why are you getting pissed off when I do? I have no clue what that was about. But through the time that we were just friends, he did a lot of, I don't know how to describe it, he hurt me a lot. And I found out stuff that he did with my friends. Like, the first time I really found out, I think I was hanging out with my friend Bree, and we went to this place, and he decided, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. So, I know, he was 16, but he acted like a little kid. But he was like, oh, let's play 7 Minutes in Heaven. So he got Bree first, and my friend Bree, and I heard something, and I'm not gonna really say what it is. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what it is, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was either at first. And then Bree told me, oh, he did this. It was sexual stuff that they did together. I don't want to go into detail with it, but it was sexual stuff that they did together. And I got pissed, like, at him. I'm like, why would he do that? Especially when I'm, like, right there, and he knows that I like him. And then the second thing he did was, we were at my friend's house, and again, he made up this other stupid game, and he took my friend into the bathroom, and I guess kissed her, but she didn't kiss back. She was the only one of my friends who didn't do anything with him. And when I still liked him, I should say. But after that, I found out he was doing a whole bunch of shit with my best friend that I've been friends with since grade 5, and I found out all that, and then I confronted him about it, and he said that he didn't know what they were talking about. He never did anything like that. And then my grandma got really sick and got sent to the hospital. And I asked him, because he wasn't my first choice, he was more my third choice, because my best friend, Martha, could not come. Didn't want to come to the hospital because she was sick and she didn't want to give the germs to anybody, which I understood that. And then my other friend, she couldn't come. So I didn't want to go alone, because every time I didn't want to be in that room, because every time I was in it, I would cry, because seeing her the way she was just so hard for me. And so I invited him, and he said he'd come, and that same night, I lost my virginity. He was the one that I lost my virginity to, but he manipulated me into it. And I know that sounds really stupid, and I know it was just as much as my fault as it was to him. I'm not saying that at all. It's just he knew what kind of state of mind I was in and how upset I was about everything. And I wasn't thinking straight, and I should have been thinking a lot more straighter. And he asked me before if I wanted to, and I kept saying no. But he asked me again this night, and I said, for some reason I said yes. He was giving all these stupid excuses for why I should. And then after that, I found out he took my other best friend's virginity, and then lied to me about it. And then one night, we were hanging out, it was me, my friend, and him. We were hanging out, and I asked to talk to him alone. And me and him went behind this huge snow pile. And, sorry, there was a bug. And I told him that I still really liked him, and that it hurts me that he doesn't want to be with me and that he doesn't like me. He ran away. Like, this was the stupidest thing I've ever seen, because he ran away and hid behind my friend. And I'm like, okay, I was so pissed off. Like, I was just about to say, fuck you, you know? I was so pissed off at him. And then when I finally got away from him, when I met Michael, and he gave me a pregnancy scare, because he told me he had a condom. And I wasn't on birth control, because I really wasn't expecting to lose my virginity at all. And this was before I told my dad because I was really scared to tell him because I thought he'd be pissed. So I wasn't on birth control because, like I said, I wasn't suspecting to have sex for a while. So I didn't think anybody found me that attractive that way. So he said he was wearing a condom, and then after we had sex, he was like, oh, I wasn't wearing one. So I'm like, okay, wow. And then I think it was just that I heard too much about that I got freaked out. So I think that was the problem. I don't think, the only sign that I had was I didn't have my period, and I think the reason I didn't get it was because I was stressing too much about how I could be pregnant, you know? So, and he was telling me that, like, oh, if you are, I'm not going to be there for you, and you're going to have to do it on your own. So, and then I finally met Michael, and I got away from him that when I did, and I still kind of talked to him on and off. And I usually, since my friends still hung out with him, it was either hang out with him and not be able to hang out with my friends. Or, not hang out with him and not be able to hang out with my friends, or hang out with him and then be able to hang out with my friends. So, also, continuously, they kept saying they didn't want to be alone with him, but yet, when I wasn't around, they would go off with him. So, I was the one that was keeping them from doing that. But, I don't know. And after I started dating Michael, he asked me if I wanted to have sex with him, and I said no because I'm taken by my boyfriend. And he was like, oh, but your boyfriend won't know, blah, 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 shit like that. And I told him, just jokingly, that I was like, my boyfriend is going to kick your ass. And he wasn't actually going to. I just said that to get him to shut up. And he was like, oh, that was my cousin. And he did that to my friend once, too. Not the whole exactly thing, but kind of like, I want to have sex with you. And then when she said no, oh, I meant this. I didn't mean it. I was kidding. Something like that. So it's kind of hard to talk about this because it still hurts me to this day. I'm not hurt by him. I'm just hurt by what he did to me. And then he messaged me last summer and was telling me, oh, he was still in love with me and he still wanted to kiss me. And I told him no. And then he was just to my boyfriend. I was in town in October after Thanksgiving, and me and my boyfriend went in town, and so me and my boyfriend went in town, and we were hanging out, just me and him, and Adam texted me and asked me why my boyfriend didn't like him. So I'm like, if my boyfriend liked him. I'm like, no, honestly, if he could, he would kick your ass, but he wasn't going to, and that's what I expressly said. I'm like, he wants to hurt you, he wants to kick your ass, but he won't do it because of me. I made him promise not to because I just don't like fighting in general at all. And he texted me later and he's like, oh, if your boyfriend wants to go, bring him here. So I'm like, okay, one, I was texting you that. He wasn't threatening you at all. And I said he won't kick your ass. I didn't say he would. I said he wants to. So he was like, oh, if you don't come, I'm going to bring the police. So I got a little freaked out. And then we got there and there was 4 people there. And I think like 2 of them were his age. And then one of them was like 20-something. And the other one was like a 44-year-old with a baseball bat, which I thought was just freaking ridiculous. And that was one of his friend's dads that was there. So I'm like, that's setting a really good example for your kid right there. And so we never ended up going. And then after that, I never really talked to him. I didn't talk to him after that. I got really pissed off at him. And I see him around a lot, and then the night before, like a month, and I think in September, we were hanging out, and me and him were hanging out, and he asked me, well, I wanted to talk to him, so we went to the bathroom, and he kissed me, and after that, I guess he told 2 of his friends that me and him had sex, which was so not true at all. Like, me and him never had sex at all, except for when I wasn't with Michael. I mean, I didn't cheat on him. And then he was trying to start crap with my boyfriend, and I think he wants my boyfriend to fight him so he can get my boyfriend sent to jail so he can get in on me and be able to get back with me, which, again, never going to happen. I don't hate him. Well, I do hate him. I hate him, and I do have every right to after what he did to me and lied to me. And me and him, I don't think we're really together, but what pisses me off is that he had sex with my best friend and didn't tell me. And I know people probably see this and think like, okay, well, it's equal. Like, she did it. Sex is a two-person thing. She did it, so you should be pissed off at your friends. And I am really pissed off at her. Me and her aren't friends anymore, and there's tons of other reasons other than that. I wasn't really pissed off as hers. I wasn't him, because I knew how he's like, and I know how manipulative he can be. And I wasn't as pissed, but then I'm kind of realizing, I'm like, well, now that I'm not friends with her, I'm kind of seeing a side to her that I never seen before. And, like, what I know is that she still hangs out with him, and I don't know if they're still having sex or anything, but when I was together with Michael, they were still hanging out and they were still doing it, and I don't know. She tried to tell me that he forced her into it, but I really do not believe that at all, because, well, it wouldn't surprise me if he would do that to anybody, but Martha just is that type of person that cannot say no. She's like me, kinda. I'm getting a lot better at saying it, though. But she's like me. She can't say no to anybody, and I don't believe for a second that he forced her because of that reason. So, that was my ex-boyfriend story, and thank you guys for watching. Subscribe, rate, and comment, and I will talk to you guys for my next video. Bye.